Welcome back to part 2 of episode 48, a Talking Prisoner exclusive with Lisa Crittenden. Welcome back, and welcome Ken. Good morning, afternoon, sorry.
Good afternoon, whatever.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me back. I didn't kill you last week, so that's a good thing.
You get another chance now.
Now we get to talk about what the podcast is actually about. Now I'll kick off from where we left off. Now, did you already know anyone going into Prisoner, any of the cast that you were friends with going on?
No.
So you?
No, I didn't. They were all stars, as far as I was concerned. These were all like legends. Absolute legends. I was so excited when I got the part in Prisoner, and so nervous as well. So my first day, I don't know if I might be jumping too quickly. Am I jumping too quickly?
Jump as high as you want.
That's a bit hard nowadays, Matt. I'll just crawl to the next question. I won't jump. So on my first day, you know, I was living over in Spotswood with my mum and dad again, and got into my Cortina and drove over to Nunawading. Cortina, and drove to Nunawading and got there and parked and did all of that carry on. And then I had to find my way. So, of course, I was early because, you know, like, that's just what you do. And walked in and into the green room. I can't remember who showed me where to go. But anyway, so I get into this little area, and I put my bag down on this chair, and I'm sitting there and just kind of waiting. I've got my scripts and I've got everything. Anyway, Sheila arrives. And I'm going on. Yes. Good morning, Miss Florence. My name. Who are you? I'm Lisa Crittenden. I am in. It's my first day. I'm here to play Maxine Daniels. Anyway, she sits herself down on the chair, and then she looks and she said, "That's a very nice bag you've got there." And I said, oh, thank you. You know, thank you. Would you mind removing it, please? Elspeth sits there. And I went, oh, Jesus. Got the bag out. Just, you know, it was such a short-lived kind of compliment. It was like, oh, my God. And, you know, over the other side of the room were where the extras were sitting, and I didn't know whether to sit with them. I didn't know who were I supposed to be or whatnot. And, you know, Sheila didn't bat an eyelid, did not bat an eyelid. And of course, Elspeth, Julie, you know, rocked up and sat in her chair. And then there was, Judith McGrath turned up. And then Val came in, and it was all on. It was full on and terrifying. And yeah.
Well, speaking of Sheila, so you have jumped ahead, and it was Ken's question, but I will ask it. You know, you developed a really close bond with Sheila on screen, and it looked like it was a real bond, you know, off screen. Like, how close did you guys get? You know,
it's hard to remember, but Sheila kind of reminded me of my mum in a way, not all the drinking and the smoking and killing shearers, but certainly she was tiny. Sheila was tiny, and I remember. So I was 19. 20 when I started on Prisoner. I remember I turned 21 towards the end my stint there. So it's not like I was ever going to have a relationship peer to peer.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? It was like I was a kid and trying really hard to be very mature and fit in, but it wasn't. I can't. Yes, we got on. Yes, we got on. And I remember driving her home to St Kilda a few times. And, you know, I met John, her husband, and, you know, she told me stories about her daughter and things like that. But when I think about those days, and of course, it's all about, and I'll fess up here, it was, you know, from my perspective, it was all about me. Do you know? So it was, I was living my life and dating, burning the candle at both ends. And so, you know, my character, what's my character doing? What does the script say for Maxie? You know, and with B and with Lizzie and all that. But when I think about it, there was an enormous amount of pressure and responsibility on those key characters, particularly Sheila. Because everybody loved her. There was not going to be a time where she was just going to be put out, not without a storyline. She was so intrinsic to the show, her and B. So, do you know, when I think about it, and I know that we spoke a little bit about the medicinal beverage that Sheila used to have, and there was nothing of her. Do you know, she was you couldn't say that Sheila Florence was overweight. So whatever she needed to pick her up and get her through those scenes where there would be scene after scene after scene, and there'd be top up. I think we talked about this off camera last week, Ken, where, you know, there were times when she did get tired, and it was all about supporting Sheila then, just to, I don't even know how old she was when she was doing the show, because she was ageless. She was just this little old lady that played this little feisty, crazy character that was so beloved. So yes, we did get on, but it was never going to be like, let me show you pictures of my grandchildren and you show me pictures of yours. I was
I have to say, to your credit, you know, you became a very integral part of that B, Lizzie, and then Maxine group. I mean, it was, you know, I don't know, it was just so like well done and on your part that, you know, you just slid in there so well and become a key group, you know, part of that group.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I loved the three of us. It was like the three wise monkeys. But before me, of course, there was Colette Mann.
Yeah.
Doreen was, as far as I was concerned, I couldn't be Doreen. And can I just say, as a sidebar, to some of the comments that have been made about how ridiculous it was that in Sons and Daughters they brought me in to try and be Pat the Rat's the new Pat the Rat. I never thought it was going to work. Can I just tell you right now, all everybody that's going, yeah, that was the most ridiculous thing. There's only one Pat the Rat. Yes, there was only one Pat the Rat. I remember seeing a TV Week article, and they tried, oh my God, they tried to call me Lee the Leopard. I went, for the love of God, could you just not? Because this is just, you know, it's just not going to happen. So yeah, I just want to put that to rest with people out there that have said it was ridiculous. I agree. There was only ever one Pat the Rat. There was only ever one Doreen. And so for me to have carved a bit of a comedic niche with those two characters. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was
And
great.
one of the things that, and of course we spent a lot of time in the laundry, and there was the folding table, and the three of us would end up like and I don't know if anyone else has ever said this. The thing about television is there is a lot of hurry up and wait. So hurry up, get to makeup, get on set, and now we just got to wait. So it's kind of that there's a lot of downtime. So, I can't remember any of the conversations we used to have, but, like there were crew, there were, there was banter, but I was thinking about it, and there was a show called Moonlighting with Bruce Willis.
Oh, Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd, yeah. Amazing, love it.
Loved that show.
Yeah.
And he used to, they used to break the fourth wall in Moonlighting. Every now and again, Bruce Willis would look straight down the barrel of the camera and say something. I so wanted to do that on Prisoner with Bea and Lizzie. And I remember asking one day, I said, can we just look down the camera and say the lines? It'll be hilarious. Shut up, Lisa. Yeah. Shut up. That's never going to work. But yeah, so there was great, I guess, chemistry, but they were professionals. And the magic just happened. The magic just happened. Yeah. And, there were days when it was hard grind. But yeah, it was, but no, Sheila was just like my mum. My mum liked a beer too, but, there was just something about her that I really liked. I really liked her.
Can I just go off topic for two things quickly, just in regards to...
Oh, no, that doesn't sound like us at all.
Just with Moonlighting, I love that show too, but Bruce Willis nearly didn't get the part on Die Hard because of Moonlighting. They thought there's no way he can be this action figure in a movie, and he wasn't the first choice for Die Hard because of that show, and he obviously ended up getting it. But yeah.
Oh, yippee-ki-yay.
Yeah,
love those movies.
I know, great movies. And also on Sheila, I'm pretty sure you watched Patria's interview, but when she mentioned that she had to go and do the research for Lizzie's character, and she went and met with
yes, and all the cakes that were made.
And all the food, and Patria didn't want to eat it.
No, you wouldn't, would you? You'd just go, oh, yeah, thanks. No, I'm a celiac. Thanks very much. I can't have any of that.
I try not to laugh too hard, right? I just could imagine you going to a lady that's killed all these poison people, and she's made you lunch. Like, would you? I mean, Patria was only like 20 or 21 at the time. She was so young. Yes, we were. We were all so young, and that was the thing. You just got thrown into the deep end. Off you go. Go and interview a serial killer. Go meet Hannibal Lecter. See how see what you get out of that. Funny times.
Yes, some of us were also young. Some of us weren't. Now, here's a little bit of a chatter here. When we first see Maxine, she is entering Wentworth in a prison van. The viewers can tell straight away that she's going to be comedy value because she tries to fake loads of injuries to fool Mrs. Barry and avoid getting out of the van. As soon as she clocks Miss Ferguson, she jumps out straight away. Ferguson is quick to tell Mrs. Barry Maxine's personality traits, none of them good. Can you tell us about filming your first scenes with Joy Westmore and Maggiekirkpatrick?
Oh, good old Mrs. Barry.
I had, look, seriously, never let a bit of overacting get in the way of a character. you know, it was interesting. I think I told the story last week about David Atkins helping me with the screen test for Maxine, and of course, then you get the part. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's so much effort going into the audition process. And you get that small window where you get the part. You go, oh, I got the part. I got the part. Oh my God, I got the part. Now what do I do? And so the thing with pratfalls, I forget. I think it might have been, was either Betty Bobbitt who taught me how to do a pratfall, you know, where you pretend to slide and fall back, and was either Betty or it might have been another actor, Peter Coates, that taught me that. But so I'm bumping my head. Oh, geez, me back. Oh, geez, Mrs. Berry. Oh, yeah, what's the hold up? I'm getting a bit of sunstroke out here, you know. Oh, hello, Miss Ferguson.
Yeah, and that was interesting that you had a real big backstory there as well. I'll get into that later, but the backstory that you were in Bogger Road or wherever it was, another jail in Queensland with Miss Ferguson. That was interesting.
Yeah. Look, you know, sometimes backstories a bit like trigonometry. You really, you know, you get them, you learn how to do trigonometry and you never learn it again, or you never use it again. And backstories were kind of, they come in handy every now and again, but then they can also trip you up as well, because what's set in stone at the very beginning suddenly, you know, and people who watch, devotees of any soap opera or any drama will go, no, hang on a minute, she was an only child, now she's got 3 brothers and one's a twin. And you go, oh yeah, you know, it's I mean, that's why, what was it, Bobby in Dallas woke up in the shower, you know, after 55,000 episodes of different happenings, and then all of a sudden, oh no, it was just a dream.
Well, I think Coral Druin said Prisoner was one show that didn't have a Bible, and in the, what she meant by Bible was all the characters and everyone and their backstories, and I think she said she had to like create one.
Yeah. No doubt. So look, I didn't know Maggie then. I didn't know of Maggie, and in fact, I knew of her obviously, because the freak had been around, so I knew what I was, but I didn't have any sense of having seen Maggie in a lot of other shows, like you know, you could say, you know, Joy Westmore had been around. She'd done vaudeville. She'd done Graham Kennedy. She like the history of so many of them. And so when you think about, well, when I think about it, and this is only my humble opinion, Prisoner made a lot of people famous. You know, people that, like Val Lehman, I had not heard of Val before she got B. Do you know, it wasn't like Sons and Daughters where you had Rowena Wallace in the cast, or you know, Tom Richards from Matlock Police, you know, with all the pedigrees of the other shows behind them. So Wayne Jarrett, may he rest in peace, nice guy. Do you know, all these characters and the popularity, that was the beauty of it. It was the show that, you know, unless you're Chrissy Latham, you didn't get makeup. You got powder, you know, you got powder so you wouldn't be shiny. The best I could get was my tattoos put on me, you know, like love, hate across the knuckles and a rose tattoo up the arm, you know, and that was my stint in makeup. Or if you got, you know, bashed, you know, you'd get the bruising and things like that. And so it just made, it really did put people on the map. So working with Maggie and, you know, all of a sudden, theatre actor. Oh, right. Okay, so you're dealing with another level of acting and another level of professionalism. And Maggie was the one that taught me how to find my light, because working with Maggie, she was tall. I'm a bit of a short ass. So, you know, like standing with her, and she positioned me one day. She said, feel the light on your face. Can you get a sense of it? And that stood me in good stead. So whilst often you're not aware that you're learning stuff, you're picking it up through osmosis if you shut your mouth long enough to listen. But yeah, so that first day I had no idea what I was doing. I think it shows. But I got away with it.
But did you find as an actress that being nervous, but you got to play that comedy, was it easier? Did it take the nerves away, being able to do that sort of comedy in those first scenes?
I don't know. I can't honestly say, other than it's not just about getting the, you know, as they say, the secret to good comedy is timing. But there was all these other things that you got to think about. Where's the camera? You know, is there a plane going overhead? Is there, you know, because it was all different back then, you know, like you couldn't, when I think about how the interactions happen now on, say, dramas in 2022, you can talk over each other now. There's ways, and but you know, like on dramas, what I remember back then was if you talked over someone, we had to go again because it was going to mess up the audio, because you just couldn't do that. They weren't, it just wasn't, you had a boom swinger that was, you know, trying to go here and here and here and here, and you know, and if there was any improvisation, you just couldn't do it because it was not fair on the techies who were doing it. But yeah, so look, I think I've skirted around the fact that I don't remember much about that first day. Moving on.
Now, your character was a bikey. What was it like being a bikey? Had you ridden a motorbike prior?
No, and I think that when we talked last week, I did say that I ended up riding a bike in Who's Baby, but no, I'd never. My dad originally was a traffic officer, so I had been on the back of a motorbike when my dad was a traffic officer. I was never allowed to say that my dad was a traffic officer. I was so proud of him, but my mum used to, you know, give me a good poke in the ribs because no one liked traffic officers. I didn't know that. Anyway,
that's like a parking inspector or like a, yeah, give you a ticket.
Yeah, you know.
I don't think anyone.
No, I didn't know that. I just thought my dad was cool in his, you know, jodhpurs and his uniform on a big motorbike. But anyway, that's another thing. So no, I hadn't. But there is a photograph I saw when I was stalking you fellas, and it's one of, I think, the publicity photos for me as Maxine, right? And it's me leaning on a bike, you know, doing my best to look like a bikey. Hilarious. And I've got my watch on. Like, I've got this black leather band with this tiny little, you know, I forget what it was. It was a Tissot watch that my mum and dad bought me when I won my first elocution competition. Like, what bikey has a little Tissot watch with a lovely black leather band? Like, seriously. And it's there for the whole world to see. Not love, hate, not a tat, just Lisa with a Lisa Crittenden watch on. Just like no thought. But yeah, so no, I hadn't ridden a bike.
Now, Maxine had a strained relationship with her family due to her wayward and troublesome ways. We first see her mother in episode 310, originally played by casting director Jan Russ. What was it like working with Jan had you ever met her before, and did she ever cast you in any shows when she became a casting director?
Now, that is a very good question.
I'm glad I asked.
Try to ask good questions.
I knew that Jan was casting. I knew who she was. I can't recall, because I think we'd, you know, like being on the show, you sort of knew who was behind the scenes at Grundy's as well. So who was casting and whatnot. And of course, Jan already had a rep in the freelance world for actors, you know, like,
yeah,
you know, she was like your Helen Rowlands from Crawford's, and Jan Russ and Sue Manger and Maura Fay, all the great casting people, the ones that really put a lot of actors on the map. So it was great working with her. She was lovely. It was lovely. And it was a nice relationship, and I have fond memories of Jan, and because you know, she went on Neighbours, created absolute stars out of people. But yeah, no, it was, and then of course, but she didn't play my mum towards the end.
No.
And I'm just trying to remember, again, another fabulous actress that had been around for a very long time that played my mum the second time around, you know, for the other times. But yeah, no, she was lovely, and you know, and I know I believe she's still going strong. So you know, and I hope that she was at the Neighbours wrap party and got a big round of applause, because she put a lot of people on their path to.
Yeah, she's got. Well, we had her on recently. She's amazing. Just the story she had. Yeah. So no. Am I next?
Yes, you are.
My train of thought, man. Sorry. Darius Perkins, who played Scott Robinson, the first one in Neighbours. So you had some storylines with him playing. He's playing Trevor, living next door to the halfway house, which was some great storylines. Do you have any memories of working with him? We sounded in 2000.
Yeah. So his dad, Robbie Perkins, worked on the Sullivans. So I knew him from Crawford's. And Darius was, he'd been in the Sullivans as well. I just remember he was lovely. He was a quiet young man. That's what I remember about Darius, was he was just quiet. And I think that, you know, again, this business can be tough. This is a tough business to survive. And yeah. No, he was lovely. He was lovely.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. I can't remember much more about it, really, other than I don't think Maxie tried to get him into bed. I mean, that would have been a bit dodgy, but you know, Maxie was trying it on with everybody, so who knows?
Well, speaking of trying it on, let's bring up Spud just one more time. So you know, you had some great scenes with him, and you know, bringing him back to Driscoll House and Judy getting upset and all that, because no men were allowed at the halfway house. So Spud was played by Robert Forza. Forza, yeah. What was it like working with Robert?
Well, Robert and I had worked together previously. I did 2 pantos for Terry Gill. One was, well, they were both the same. It was Wizard of Oz. And in the first one, I worked with David Atkins, who played the Scarecrow. And then in the second school holidays, or whatever it was, Robert Forza came in to play Scarecrow.
Oh, wow.
And he was from, as I recall, from Footscray. So we had a bit in common because we were both, you know, from the western suburbs. And again, he was older than me because he could drive. I was still at high school. So yeah, he used to give me a lift home. He was just a lovely bloke, you know, and no nonsense, no frills, just a really nice, genuine guy. And because we'd had that connection with the Wizard of Oz, a bit of a jump to go from Dorothy to Maxie and Spud, but you know, like nevertheless, we managed. He was just a very generous performer and a really nice bloke. I would have to say right off the bat that any scenes that had anything to do with sex, kissing, I know that there's a question, somebody asked the question, who was the best kisser, Robert Forza or Alan David Lee? You know, no names, no pack drill, but I will just say that all of those things, oh my God, I was so highly embarrassed and shy and didn't know. Oh my God, it was like, oh, it was the worst thing anything. Like I remember with sorry, I'm jumping, being in bed with Alan David Lee and someone mentioned, oh, there's room for two or something. Oh my God, I used to cringe. I just cringe. I could not see how there was anything remotely sexy about Maxie or attractive about Maxie, and it just, ergo me. So like I just go, got to get through it. And then, you know, you do a scene and back in those days you're supposed to be naked in bed, but you've got some sort of bodysuit on, and oh God, I would just die inside. Just, can we hurry up and get these scenes done? And yeah, but so yes, no, Robert was lovely, and look, you know, I felt at ease with him, so you know, and he was a good bloke.
Yeah, fantastic.
Let's just get out of the bed and get into the big Wentworth fire instead. Episodes 326 and 327. You weren't in any of the drama in the prison. Did you wish you had been part of all the action?
Yeah, I think I did. You know, I think I was in the halfway house by then, wasn't I? Can someone enlighten me? Or I was on the run, or I don't know, I can't remember. But yeah, so there wasn't much. The halfway house was like a.
And that was at the studio, the halfway house, wasn't it?
Sorry?
The halfway house was at the studio, wasn't it?
Oh God, yeah. It had I don't know, some paper mache walls and a streetscape painted on the outside, you know, like on the background. Yeah, no, it was kind of, it's an to me, the halfway house stuff was a bit anticlimactic. You know, I wanted to be in the prison, you know, like I remember, was it Barnhurst when we were all moved to another?
Yeah, Woodridge, I think it was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, no stretch of reality there, you know, moving a whole bunch of women to a male. Excuse me, everyone. I've had the dreaded COVID, so I'm just got a bit of a frog.
Well, it happens in Melbourne. They send women to the men's prisons, you know, all the time. So.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. That was hilarious. But yeah, so whilst Maxie did some interesting things, and I'm going to jump because I've read the questions. someone asked, so one of the viewers asked what was my favourite storyline, and it would have to have been when Maxie was working with Liz Harris. Just for the love of me, the name's gone out, but Michelle. It was the little girl Michelle, I think, that Maxie had to look after, and she identified that there was something not right, that the mother was Liz, who played by Liz Harris, was going off the rails, and the husband was a bit of a no-hoper, and there was this gorgeous little kid. She was just beautiful, and I really liked that storyline. That was that gave Maxie a little bit of depth. You know, there was a lot of the time, you know, sure, she was dealing drugs for Nola, she was getting into scrapes, she was upsetting B, and, you know, stealing from shops for the halfway house to sell the goods in the halfway house. But that gave us some depth, and it was a good storyline. I really liked that. I enjoyed that a lot. So that would have, I would say, because also I can't remember every storyline that Maxie was ever in, but I really remembered that, and I thought that was pretty cool storyline.
Yeah, it was. Now we've spoken about Alan Lee, so we'll move on to Ken. Just before we do, you brought up the pantomimes with Terry Gill. I'm not sure if I mentioned it last week or I mentioned it with someone else, but my grandma used to take me to those pantomimes when I was a kid, the Terry Gill ones, and his wife, is it Carol?
Carol Ann Aylett.
Carried it on, and I took my daughter there when she was younger.
Oh, truly.
Yeah, and they're just so amazing. They're just fantastic, the pantomimes.
And you know, to be fair to them too, like absolute veterans of the business, you know, Ticky and Johns and all of that, but they paid a bloody good wage too. Do you know? Like, you didn't do it for nothing. They employed you, and you know, all went through the agency, and it was good money to do 2 shows a day at Doncaster or wherever it was at. I can't remember now, but you know, it was a Westfield shopping centre somewhere.
Shopping centre.
And it was terrific, and they were good. You know, there was a pianist. Oh gosh, now I'm going back a long time.
Oh, the one that did the piano.
Shirley.
Yes.
Ken,
Shirley Radford.
Yes. So there used to be on 3UZ back in the day, I think it was Sunday mornings, it was like a talent show. And Shirley used to play for all the singers.
Wow.
And so, like, when she was there playing all the songs, like, it was just like, not so much that I necessarily remember, but my mum and dad remembered, and they were absolutely like, they just, you know, Terry Gill, Carol Ann Aylett, all of those people, they were veterans of the business, you know, and Terry was a very, very, very funny man.
And
so,
Terry, of course, who played the Grayson prisoner a fair few times as well.
Oh, he played everything. He was everywhere. He was Eddie everywhere.
Celia de Berg, what was it like working with her?
Gosh, you boys, you're killing me. Just trying to remember. I remember Celia. I don't remember the storyline. Look, again, cast members, new guest artists would come in. It was just fabulous. There was we had Catherine Wilkin come in to do a stint. But Celia was just classy, and it was just, there was, I don't, yeah, that's all I can say really. I remember I can see her. I don't remember really what we did together, but yeah, she was just, it was, you know, like it was a gift.
Yeah.
You just got all these great people coming in for guest roles that it blows my mind. It was, I don't know what the next step is with Neighbours gone. But, you know, those shows back then, they were an absolute showcase for new and emerging actors. But, I mean, Celia had been around for a while. I mean, but yeah, that's all I can say.
Well, speaking of guest actors, everyone's favourite storyline, Marina Finlay and Michael Cormick. Everyone loves this story. It's so believable. What did you? I mean, all right. Well, like, yeah, it was a bit silly, but you know, your character had him taken out of the prison. I mean, what was it like working with Michael and Marina?
Well, it was strange. It was, and Lainey. Oh, geez, Lainey, what are you doing, Lainey? It was like, you know, and I think there was, they were lovely, but again, you know, like I guess, I don't know what Marina said, but when you interviewed her, but you know, again, it mustn't have been easy for a lot of guest artists coming on to Prisoner, particularly playing a role where, and for Michael too, gosh, that must have been, I'd never even thought about it until much later, that it must have been pretty tough for him, particularly knowing that not everyone was, you know, on board with the storyline, because that makes for some tad awkward moments. But I think they were, I just remember Marina being quite quiet. She, you know, like, and Michael wasn't a loud person. I mean, I think it was what do they say? It jumped the shark. But you know, it's again though, like, why not? We could do anything we wanted to. The writers could do whatever they wanted to. Why not explore? And I think they pulled it off. They did it with great gravitas. And I remember Marina's eyes were the most amazing eyes I think I've ever seen. They're just piercing. I think they were blue or green, but just the most amazing eyes. And yeah, it was. But again, like what we were saying, Ken, last week, is that these storylines come in and they go. They come in and they go. And what pulls your focus for a few weeks, that all of a sudden that's gone. You know, you sort of, it's a bit like news, 24-hour news cycle nowadays. What is absolutely grabbing your attention now is not even there an hour later. It's gone.
Exactly.
So with the fast pace of this program, and when you think that the writers had to keep up with, where have we got Maxie? Where's she? Oh yeah, she's in the halfway house at the moment. We're bringing her back into jail. What's she doing? You know, what's Lizzie? Oh, Lizzie's got the plague. Val's lost her memory. You know, Meg's fallen in love with an ex-con. You know, whatever. There was that much going on. Yeah. So it's those storylines. They came and they went, and that was unusual. It was a bit like sending women to a male prison. It's kind of a bit of a stretch.
I think
we went there anyway.
On, the strip search. I think that was the whole giveaway.
But on their behalf, on both the actors involved, on their behalf, I think I can't remember who it was that said this to us, from Bud Tingwell as a director. You have to make it work.
Yes. Yes.
That was just recently. Someone said that.
Yeah. And you handed the script and you think, oh God, how am I going to do this with a straight face and so forth and so on, and you have to do it.
Yeah.
And
absolutely. And you have to do it in the face of criticism too. You have to pull it off. You have to go back in there every day. Now, whether or not people think you're Lee the leopard, or whether you're, trying to be a Pat the rat or whatever, or they think you're crap, or, some found Maxie annoying. Yeah, she probably was. But yeah, that's your job. That's the job. That is, make it as believable as possible, and you have to believe it. You're going to trip yourself up if you just go through the motions. And yeah, they did make it work, and it must have been pretty tough, particularly for Michael Cormick. And look, for any male actor that came onto Prisoner, it wasn't an easy gig. It wasn't an easy gig, and I'm that's my opinion. I'm not speaking on behalf of anybody else, but just, it was fiercely a woman's show, and awesome, and the first of its kind, really. Yeah. So it was fiercely protected. But yeah, so no, it wasn't. I don't think for anyone, it was always going to be nerve-wracking for anyone coming on as a guest. It was for me. They just kept extending me. I was the longest, a long guest. I probably nearly outstayed my welcome. But it's it was amazing.
I remember when the first guest on this show was Ken, speaking about his time, and he said the riot episode, when he was his first episode, all these women coming down the corridor screaming at him.
Well, we didn't know any of those ladies to begin with, when they're jumping on the bars and reaching through, and I'm backed up with a camera. Yes, and they seem very fierce.
Yeah, they were fierce. They and that's why it blew everyone's socks off.
Yeah,
its raw power was amazing.
Now, during yet another stint in Wentworth, Maxine teamed up with evil Nola Mackenzie with her insurance racket, and also got shoplifted goods brought in by her friend Roxanne. Nola was in business with The Freak. Tell us about working with Carol Skinner.
Oh, just magic. Sorry if you can hear that beeping, that's my husband using the air fryer.
What's he cooking?
Are we invited?
Yeah, the air fryers are amazing.
Yeah. You don't want to be invited, not if he's cooking. It'll be a burnt sausage roll, I can guarantee it. So Carol Skinner, adored Carol Skinner. Such a kind lady, and like, she was great mates with Maggie
yes,
too. They knew each other from Sydney, and boy, they taught me a few things on how to have a good time. They were great mates. And Carol, I had seen Carol in a televised production of Summer of the 17th Doll, which was written by Ray, come on, Ken, Lawler. That's it, Ray Lawler. It's a trilogy, Matt. I don't know if you know of the play, but it's an Australian play. Set 2 cane cutters, Rue and Barney, and 2 women, and they meet. And I've forgotten the names of the 2 female characters, but anyway, I think it was Channel 7 did a live recording of, or they did it in studio, of Summer of the 17th Doll. And I think it had Carol in it, and it had, I think even Christina Amor played the young ingenue in it. It blew me away. I thought Carolskinner was the greatest actress I'd ever seen, and I just loved it. I loved the play. I knew the play. And she was brilliant. And I think Sandy Gore, it was Sandy Gore and Carolskinner, and I can't remember who played Rue and Barney, and then of course in walks Carolskinner to play Nola Mackenzie. Like, hello, big fan moment. Oh, you know, it was just, and I think I remember saying to her and that I'd seen her in that and thought she was brilliant. And she was fun. Yeah. And look, she was fun. And she couldn't be more removed from Nola Mackenzie than I am from Maxie, you know, like seriously, she was just, her and Maggie laughing together, telling stories. If you were lucky and you got to go out, you know, out with them, you know, it was always going to be an early morning finish. But she was great. And like Maggie, taught me a lot. And she was very kind. She was very kind. And I think they're the things that I remember, is how people made me feel. Because we never talk about how insecure we feel or how not good enough we feel or whatever. We put a big mask up, we put a big shield up, and we go, oh, you know, I'm an actor, you know. And it's always about the kindness and how people make you feel. And I found a photo recently where it was, I think I was saying to you off air that it was Roger Oakley, Carolskinner and myself at the 21st birthday function for Prisoner, which was the only thing I've ever been to prior to doing this interview. And it's a great pick. And I would love to see Carol again. I would love to know where she is. I would love to know how she is.
So would we.
Sorry? Yeah.
So
yeah. Yeah, I bet. But yeah, she's she was just one out of the box, that one. Mate, one out of the box.
Loved her character. She was so evil, but she was so funny as a character too, you know. Rack off bird brain, you know, with Lizzie. You know.
And, you know, there's some great publicity stills of her leaning over me and me going, you know. You know, it was and that was the other thing about Prisoner too. Hats off to the publicity department. They pumped that show. They knew how to promote it. I remember, can I do a sidebar?
Of course.
So there'd be a lot of time to kill. Like you'd be at Channel 10 all day. Yeah. Because the prisoners weren't going anywhere. So you had to hang around. And I used to I knew, of course, people in the publicity department, and one of them I used to just have a chat to. You know, she'd say to me on a Monday morning, oh, how was your weekend? And I'd say, oh, yeah, it was all right. I went up in a light aircraft with this guy I was seeing at the time. And she'd go, oh, yeah, where'd you go? I said, oh, well, we flew from Essendon Airport and we just went up in this plane. There was a newspaper called The Truth.
Oh, The Truth.
Which used to come out, I think, on a Thursday or something, because I know that members of my family used to buy it, but apparently for the racing guide.
Yeah, the racing guide.
Anyway, yeah. Page 3, prisoner actress joins the Mile High Club.
Oh, the Mile.
And so there it was. Now, call me stupid. Took me a long time, and it was only after, like, a few years ago now, I think, because I am stupid. I put 2 and 2 together, that when I was having a chat to this lady from Publicity, and she's saying, how was your weekend? There was some bother. And she just, oh, where will we put this? Who will we give this to? So really, if you want to know stuff, you should find some of those ex-Publicity people from Channel 10, because they got the goss. And of course,
for the overseas fans, The Truth. What would you class The Truth? Was it? I don't know what The Truth was. It was like a soft porn newspaper. Would you?
Oh Jesus, no! It wasn't.
Okay.
No, but they always had some.
It was like your Sun page. I suppose in Britain you've got that newspaper, The Sun, that has a page 3 girl or something. Is that over
Daily Mail?
So, yeah, I don't know, but it was. You're right, Ken. It was a rag, and it, like, the best thing that did come out of it was probably the form guide for the races on Saturday. The rest of it was just made up rubbish, and of course, my parents open up The Truth because they bought it for the form guide. There's their daughter has joined the Mile High Club. Awesome. Just awesome. Like, you know.
Isn't there a history with the owner of The Truth, or some controversial? Was
either The Truth or may have been the Sporting Globe, but I think it was The Truth. They used to have a football column by Jack Dyer, and it was titled Diarrhea. Dire ear, as in dire ear, but diarrhea. And I thought, that's about the standard.
Yeah, it was. It was. But you see, that was all
right. Post as well. The Post?
Yeah. The Aussie Post. But see, all of that back in those days, we run out of, I think, the Herald Sun office, because I remember, going out. Actually, I went out with someone he was a journo, but he was I think he was writing for The Truth or working for them or whatever. But they were all kind of like, seemed to me they were all just reporters that got assigned, oh, you're going to go and write this for this newspaper or for the Herald Sun or whatnot. I mean, back in the day, those reporters, I think of Prue McSween now. She's on, she's a commentator now on television, but Prue McSween and TV Week, oh my God, that was amazing. When TV, because there was nothing competing with TV Scene. What was it? That was originally called The Listener In. Listener In TV became TV Scene. There was TV Times. There was TV Week. And there was plenty of stories that you could push around all those different things, because we didn't have internet and we didn't have influencers and we didn't have any of that rubbish. It was just, you had a TV, you had maybe 4 or 5 channels, and if you were lucky, you had a colour TV, and you had the Herald at night time.
5 channels. I mean, my daughter complains that we've only got 400 now.
Yeah.
It's like,
Exactly.
come on.
So yeah, so it was a different time, but yeah. So the Mile High Club, yeah, that was up there, right up there. I'm so proud of that moment.
You actually had the Sun in the morning and the Herald at night.
Oh, that night. That's right.
Yes.
Yep. That's exactly right.
There's got to be a song in there somewhere.
Yeah, I could. In the morning and the moon at night. Yeah. Anyway, we digress.
I just think. Now you had a very intense scene with Val Lehman when she smacked you around a bit for going against her with Nola. Good old Nola. Do you remember that scene? Do you remember the scenes you did with Val?
I loved working with Val because she was on point. Excuse me. She was on point. She knew exactly, like you could, from when I say on point, prepared. She had a way of doing things, and I liked the way she worked. And that's I recently had a look at that. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Where she comes in quiet and says, now, Maxine, I'm going to have to teach you a lesson. Yeah, she knew her stuff. She knew her stuff. There was, with everything else that was going on with Prisoner, and she was a driving force in terms behind the scenes of what was going on. And on set, she knew her stuff, and so it was great. You could come in and you could trust. It's that trust that I think that you build with your fellow performers. There was nothing flaky about Val. She set the bar high. A lot of them did, but this was to me, she was top dog. She was top dog as B, and she was top dog as cast member. Not to diminish any of the other cast members, but she was larger than life, and she was a very proud woman.
She still is larger than life.
Yeah, I think so. But so it was like, you knew your lines, she knew her lines, bang, come together and give it everything. And look, from what I can remember, there wasn't a lot of direction required. It wasn't, it would be pretty much, you get, and that's the thing, when you hit your straps with someone, you get into a rhythm of acting with them. And that's why once you get comfortable in a character and comfortable in your surroundings, it becomes a second skin. It becomes a second nature. You know how it's all going to come together. You kind of you do a read through, you go, yeah, oh, okay, we're going to do it this way. And it's great. It's like making a cake. It's like putting all the ingredients in together, and really a good director just gets out the way. Just unless we're just, doing something that's off, that's not on point. But yeah, if you did have a note, if you're a director and you did have a note, you'd better be a bloody good one, because you'd get an argument back, as to why, B was going to do it this way or whatnot. And of course, you know, that rubs off a little. All of a sudden, I'm thinking to myself, oh, my character wouldn't do that, which is hilarious. Your character can do whatever the writers tell you to do. And as we were talking before, you just got to make it work.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, no, she was, no, there's a lot being written and a lot being said about Val and some of the cast members of Prisoner, but I tell you what, they delivered the goods, and it was hard work, but it's a bit like having a CEO that says, I would never expect you to do something that I wouldn't go and do myself. Well, maybe file, but you know, like it's she gave 100%.
Yeah.
100% every time. And another actress that I loved working with was Carolyn Gilmer. She was awesome. Another kind lady, a really lovely, generous performer. Yeah, great. Anyway, sorry, that was a digression, but I just, yeah, she was.
Val's great. Yeah.
Okay, now during Maxie's escape, Maxine was turned away by Judy and Pauline. She ended up meeting bikey Belle Tinker Peters, who involved her in a payroll job. Maxine's life came to a tragic end when she was shot dead by during the robbery. So, now, we're going to talk about Leslie Baker here, because I have a feeling that a long time before that, Leslie Baker actually appeared as a singer in Melbourne Tonight.
She did. She was a singer, and Penthouse Club. That's
and rather a glamorous one from memory.
Oh, well, you know, like it's not too much of a step up from being in prisoner garb to being on Penthouse Club or in Melbourne Tonight in a frilly dress, you know. Yes, of course, because we're all chameleons. But yes, she, again, it was actors that were the triple threat, that could sing, that could dance, that could act, that had come up through the ranks doing all sorts of things, because that's how you made a buck. Yeah. You know, was being able to get on Penthouse Club and sing a song. I don't know what you got paid for being on that show or any of that sort of thing, but that was the all-rounder that you had to be. You had to be able to hold a tune and, you know, do a soft shoe shuffle. But so Leslie had also been on the show before.
Monica.
Yes. And I remember one of the questions from one of the fans out there that said, how ridiculous. Did you talk to Leslie about how ridiculous it was that she'd been this before Tinkerbell? And I was thinking about that. And I thought, how lucky were we? No, we didn't. Well, we might have talked about, you know, when I was in it before, because of course she knew some of the crew and she knew the cast, but she would have known a lot of those people regardless, because that was the nature of the business back then. You moved around. You got to move around from one show to the other, and or people knew your history. They may not have ever worked with you before, but they knew your pedigree, or you just,
yeah.
So one of the things that I thought about was that, no, look, yes, it's crazy for diehard viewers that go, well, you know, but she was that and now she's this. But I've been in Blue Heelers. I was in there in Blue Heelers, I think 3 times, playing something different, and you as an actor, you counted down like the months until you could screen test for another role in Blue Heelers, because you had to wait enough time for that role to kind of fade a bit into the background. Before
I think with her character in particular, and I'll say this as a fan myself, but Monica was it was a pretty iconic character. She was very well known for, it wasn't like she was just in it for like 2 episodes or 3, like she was in it for a bit and had some great scenes. And I think it was just a bit like, oh.
Yeah, well, and fair
well.
call.
Yeah.
But from talking to Leslie, and I know that Leslie didn't have it easy. Thank God they brought her back. You know, like that was the best thing. You know, and yeah, it's a stretch. It would, I suppose, if they brought me back after Maxie parked it, and brought me back as a screw. Yeah. Or the new the new head of the prisoner, governor. Like it would be, I've sent it into another parallel universe. But that's c'est la vie. That was soaps. That was what you could do. And I know Leslie was struggling to bring up her son, and she was just so lovely to work with and so happy to be working. And that was the thing about a lot of the veterans of the business, really grateful to get a gig, you know, to have another show to go to. And because, you know, there's the jobs, especially as you get older, they're sparse, they can be sparse. And that's why Prisoner was such a bloody great gift. It gave everyone a vehicle. I was thinking about it the other day and I thought, gee, wouldn't it be great if with all the people that you guys have interviewed, all the actors and whatnot, that maybe aren't doing it anymore or still trying to do it, and some agent came along and just decided to take on veterans of the business and market them and put them out there, you know, and promote them. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know what the vehicles would be, what the shows would be, but there's a market for it. And, you know, you don't have to be just 15 or 20 or 25 to, you know, there's a wealth of talent that's being wasted.
Yeah, definitely. Well, speaking of Leslie Baker, she's also back on Neighbours at the moment, which is great.
Oh, true. Oh, great.
We're back. I think she plays Toadie's mum from memory. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
But you're right about all the older actors. I mean, I think Jan Russ said it on the interview that she had the idea of, you know, like a Golden Girls series in Australia with some of the older actresses and things. I mean, it'd be brilliant. But the problem with Australia is we don't sort of get into it. Like shows work in America, but for some reason, a lot of shows don't work here. I don't know if it's because of us or, I mean, I'd love to see all those actresses back on the screen.
Well, you wouldn't even have to promote it as say, oh, look what we're doing with all these veteran actresses. You just create a show and put them in, and and then we'd all be overnight sensations again. Do you know? Because no one would know who we were.
Yeah.
Not that I'm doing it. I've retired. I got out of the business.
I was about to ask you. I'm going to sum up the next 2 questions. I'm going to steal Ken's as well. But was it your decision to leave the show, and were you happy that they killed Maxine off? Was that what you were wanting?
Well, yes, it was my decision to leave because I'd been burning the candle at both ends. And of course, you know, being young and foolish and not really understanding what unemployment was, I decided that, yes, I need to go and do other things. I don't know what that is. Probably going to be waitressing, or it's probably going to be working at the North Ryde RSL in the bistro. But no, I need to look at different horizons. You know, like every time I hear someone say that, I just say, don't do it. For God's sake, stay where you are. But no, I decided that it was time. So I pulled the plug. And I remember Ian Smith, who was associate producer at the time, and he was playing Mr. What's his face?
The head of the department.
That's right, head of the
corrupt head of the department.
Yeah, he was associate producer and one of the writers, I think, as well at the time. And we were driving somewhere. He was giving me a lift back somewhere, and he had the conversation with me in the car about me leaving. And he said, look, it's not too late. You know, we'd like you to stay. This is my recollection, Ian. If you're out there and you're listening, if you've got through 45,000 hours of this, good luck. But this is my recollection, which was, we don't want you to go. We'd like you to stay. You know, are you set on leaving? Because if you do decide to leave, we're going to have to kill Maxie. Bum, bum. And I just, you know, blithely, because, oh yeah, no, I'm going to leave. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, oh, you know, okay. Didn't really think much of it. He said, then there'll be no sort of coming back.
You think he said that to try and change your mind, saying if we kill you?
Yeah, oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was like just making sure I was right. There was no pressure, and it was not like you know, if you don't come back, we're going to kill you. It wasn't said like that. It was just a matter of fact. We don't want you to go. If you go, we're going to kill Maxie. So who was I to turn down an opportunity to serve in the bistro at the North Ryde RSL? So, you know, as tough as it was, I just, seriously, what an idiot. Anyway, so yeah, I said I did. And so then they decided to, and then they, true to their word, they killed Maxie. I recently had a milestone birthday, and my husband put together a little video of.
Oh yeah, congratulations on your 30th as well.
Oh, bless you. You're hilarious. You should do stand up. So my husband put together a little video of especially of the death scenes that I've done in the different soaps. And end of contract, what was it? Didn't renew this contract. Sons and daughters, I went into a bus or into a garbage truck. It was hilarious. It was so bad. Oh, so bad. And of course with Maxie, it was, they're never gonna get me up. Oh. And when we did this, I forget the name of the director, but it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. It was a night shoot, and it was flipping freezing. And they wired me up with the explosive under the shirt. And the thing, it was all about the timing of, you know, supposedly the gun going off and the pack going off with the. Anyway, so we did it once, but they hadn't strapped it down firmly enough. So the pack's going boom, 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 you know, like just on my back. Take two. So they're doing all that up. And yeah, we got that done. And then it was like about 4:30 in the morning when we wrapped. And I think I had to be back in the studio the next morning to do the final voiceover to Lizzie. Oh, g'day, Lizzie. You know, I guess you must think I'm pretty stupid. You know, if I have a kid, I'm going to call her Lizzie. You know, all of that. We did that in one take. And that was the end. That was the end. And of course, you know, another cast member leaves and another cast member comes in and another storyline finishes and another one starts up. And they've been
a beautiful funeral at the end. You know, Judy come along and threw the rose onto your coffin.
Yeah, she threw the rose, and then there was when they were locked down or something, and Lizzie hears the death of Maxine Daniels on the radio, and oh, B, and she, you know, like,
silly little bugger.
yeah, and why B, why, and then there's the letter, and then at the end of that, once, you know, B's finishing, or she's consoling Lizzie, and she looks up and the freak's just given one of the freaks looks, and there it is. And that was it. And off I went into the sunset.
Oh, she went.
So.
Speaking of Ian Smith, he's also back on Neighbours, and Madge, his on-screen wife, played by Anne Charleston, she was killed off, but she's coming back as a ghost.
Ghost?
Yes. Madge is back, everyone, on Neighbours as a ghost. You can come back as a twin sister or a ghost. Hey?
Sorry?
Ian Smith was resurrected a few times too. So, you know, all this chat about if you're not going to renew your contract,
Yeah,
Lisa, we'll have to kill you off. Yeah, right. Okay. And then I come back as my twin sister, or
But, you know, like everything.
I saw her pop up in Facebook, and I thought, Madge is back, and I'm like, how's she come back? She literally died. And, you know, there was that big emotional scene with Harold and Madge, and he's holding her, and she died, and now she's back.
Yeah, well, look, to be fair to the Sullivans, at least they didn't bring Grace back, you know, as her long lost sister. But you know, like, this is the point. Well, one of the points. It's just enjoy.
Use your imagination.
For what it is. It's entertainment.
Yeah.
If it was supposed to be real, it'd be a documentary.
Yeah.
It's not. It's fun. It's, you know, some of us have had. I had a fabulous career. I cannot be more grateful for the career that I had. I'm glad I got out when I did. I haven't missed it. And the fact that I found out that there were other things that I could do, that I had other skills that I could put to good use. That's been a blessing too. Mm-hmm. So every step of the way, whether, you know, like, I think it was my decision to leave Sons and Daughters. It wasn't my decision to leave the Sullivans, and I was brokenhearted. But, you know, all of that, it's all grist to the mill. It's just makes you who you are. And I've been very, very fortunate, really, really fortunate. And yeah, look, there are some things I still cringe about, but then there are other things that I just go, oh, c'est la vie, you know.
I've had all the comebacks. I was really hoping they'd bring Bouncer back as a ghost.
Yeah, you can't keep a good lab down.
Bouncer.
Oh, yeah.
Ken, do you want to take my question?
Oh, well, yes, you work with many greats. Here's the list: Val Lehman, Sheila, Florence, Elspeth Ballantyne, Judith McGrath, Amanda Muggleton, Maggie Kirkpatrick, and many others. Do you have anyone you particularly enjoyed or look forward to doing scenes with most?
Oh, look, you'd have to say, I would have to say Maggie, Val and Sheila, because you're going to get depth. There was always something, and of course Carol Skinner. You know, there was, you know, you were going to get something meaty to perform with those, and also, you know, they're class acts. So that's pretty much that.
Fantastic. I'm just being mindful of everyone's time. Shall we move to the fan questions, Ken?
Yeah, why not? I'm moving to the fan questions.
Jump to the fan questions or move to
Here's the first one. This is from Jan Robertson, Inverness, Scotland, UK, who also happens to be a lady that produces us.
Oh, yes, I've spoken to Jan. Hello, Jan.
Yeah, we've got a producer. How cool are we?
You've hit the big time.
Gill. Would you ever consider returning to acting? And if you did, is there a show that you would like to be in? Well, you've said no, you wouldn't, but if you did.
I was just about to say Orange is the New Black.
Oh, yes.
No, I'm just jesting. No, look, you say never, because I said I'd never do this, but here I am. No, I enjoy watching drama. I just no, I can't say no.
Next one is a comment, not a question, from Andrew Maxwell. He said, I so remember when Lisa left Sons and Daughters, she worked in a clothes shop in Sydney called Rags to Rip. It was always a treat to sneak past after school and see her in there. What's Rags to Rip? Was it fun?
Oh, look, I don't remember to rip, but there was a shop called Rags, and it was in Chatswood. And yes, like so many actors before and after me, you do what you can to earn a buck. And I got this job working in a dress shop in Chatswood, which is in Sydney. And yeah, that's just one of the many jobs. I didn't notice anyone gawking, but you must have gawked quite quietly.
Just the schoolboys.
Yeah. so yeah, just yeah, that was one of the jobs.
Yeah.
This is a comment from Stevie Wooten. The questions I would have asked have been asked, but just want to say that she's one of my favourite prisoner actresses and characters. Her friendship with Lizzie was great to watch, as was her friendship with Judy. That's from Stevie.
Yeah, thanks, Stevie. Yeah, they were great people to work with. So thank you.
Jay Shaw said, awesome news. Really looking forward to watching this. Hi, Lisa. You had a great on-screen relationship with Sheila Florence and Alan David Lee, amongst others. We've already spoken about what they were like to work with, but he also mentioned Nancy Brunning on Shortland Street. There are a lot of questions I would like to ask Jay from England, but yes, working with Nancy.
I think we spoke about that last week. Yeah, we did. And yeah, she passed away a couple of years ago now, but she was just gorgeous, just gorgeous.
One from Dave J. Sid in the UK. Hi from the UK. Loved Mad Maxine. Who was the best kisser? Well, I think we've talked about.
Yeah, we did, because I remembered that question. I thought, you're not getting anything out of me. My lips are sealed. My lips are sealed.
Eugene DeGeorge from America. He's actually in Delaware. I'm pretty sure it was Delaware. There are several scenes in Prisoner that I regard as some of the most dramatic, and you were in one of them. The scene of you in the phone booth asking your mother if you could come home, and her refusal is one of the best scenes. Good job, Lisa. Thank you for doing the interview.
Thank you for that. Yeah, look, my youngest son saw that, for the first time, would be a couple of years ago now, and it choked him up. And he's a tough crowd to, to impress. So, look, I remember doing that scene, and I liked, I think the writers wrote Maxie some great things, some great scenes and some great stories. I always had a problem with trying to cry, and I think I was pretty rubbish at that. But that scene was, was just a very, very, very sad scene for Maxie. You're dead to me. I only have one daughter now. That was pretty sad.
It was.
One from Andrew Hill, who says, and there's a part of his question that we've already answered, but he says, wow, I never thought I would see this interview happen. I love Lisa in Shortland Street as Carrie Burton. She was almost like a nurse version of Vera Bennett. Daniel Cormack, who went on to play B. Smith in Wentworth, also starred in that first year of Shortland Street. Did you ever talk to her about Prisoner?
No, I think we touched on, spoke about Danny last week. I don't recall talking about Prisoner with Danny. I mean, to be honest, I thought Wentworth, or I think Wentworth, is just out of this world fantastic. And Danielle playing B, oh my God, she's just brilliant. For me, Wentworth was too dark. I had to stop watching it.
Yeah.
It was, I watched the first season. Maybe did I start the second? And I just went, I can't, it was too raw. It was so, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
The everything about it. Pamela Rabe, unbelievably nightmarish for me. Like the Freak by Maggie was
like an angel.
Well, yeah, but I mean, when you look at the years in between, back then the Freak was just as terrifying then as Pamela Rabe is now. Those actresses on Wentworth are just, I take my hat off, and that's probably why I probably wouldn't dip my toe in the water again. The class of acting is just brilliant. And when I think Danny was on Shortland Street, there's another one of my guilty pleasures is Virgin River on Netflix, which stars Martin Henderson, who was on Shortland Street. There's a really great actor called Martin Chalkash, who was in Shortland Street, who is an international actor working on, he always plays a villain, usually plays a villain. They're doing great things. They're just kicking goals left, right and centre. But yeah, no, I had to stop Wentworth. It was, I'm probably at a stage in my life where I really don't need that level of darkness in my life.
But I mean, my partner and I watched it, and sometimes we just turn around and look and go, did that just happen? It was like, it was
frightening,
full on.
Yeah, a little bit too real for me.
Yeah, it was.
But sensational, and deserves every success.
Definitely. We're up to me, Paula Conti. I would love to know how she mastered the accents in various soaps and roles. In one show, Lisa sounds super posh and fancy, and then fast forward to Mad Maxie Daniels' days, and she talks like a bikey. I just love her, and I'm so glad you're interviewing her. Remember her well from the restless years.
Well, thank you. I think we might have mentioned this last week, was with the elocution and speaking proper. That wasn't hard. Maxie is probably a bit over the top. Probably, I mean, I've never met a real bikey, so I don't even know what they sound like, like a lot of bikies have got PhDs, so I've probably done them a huge disservice over the years, but yeah, it's makeup, it's make believe. Yeah. So that's what it was.
Mark Lambert says, hi, Lisa. Were you happy with Lee's change of character about halfway through your run? Or would you have preferred her to team up with Alison if you stayed longer, like you did with Patricia when you first came into the show?
Look, Sons and Daughters, Restless Years, all of those shows, it's what do they say? It's a journey in terms of character, and you don't get a say. And didn't worry me that I can recall. Perhaps there was the little diva inside of me that went, oh, my character would never do that. But at the same time, look, Lee ended up drowning, but she swam from Sydney to Melbourne. She, she stole Beryl's baby. There were so many different hilarious things. No, it had run its course for me, so no. And again, it's all just part of a patchwork in your career of different things. And when I think about some of the stuff that I did, and especially when I threw myself in front of the garbage truck that's hilarious, absolutely hilarious. But yeah, so no, it was all just part of the career,
of the course. Just a comment from Michael Shoesmith. OMG, oh my God, never thought it would ever, in big capital letters, happen. Thank you, boys. And I will say this, you have been under the radar for so long. I mean, there's fans that put up pictures of people. That's Lisa. That's her now, and it's not. I mean, well, we've seen you now, but it is quite funny. You're like a big mystery.
Oh, look, a woman of mystery. Always wanted to be a woman of mystery. Look, I'd have to say, I was thinking about this. That yes, I do. I like my life. I like my life being normal, and I'm no different or special than anyone else just because I've been on TV. But I would have to say thank you for this opportunity. And I'd like to thank everybody out there that have responded, because I do a secret stalk every now and again to see what y'all are saying about me. But it's given me an opportunity to reminisce and open up the locked box of memories that I didn't think I really had anything much to remember. So for me, it's been an opportunity, because no one in my family want to hear me talk. Like, they don't want to hear me talk about any of this stuff. So I've really been very grateful for the opportunity to talk about stuff that nobody else gives a monkeys about. So thank you for the opportunity, and that people are still out there watching and liking and loving and arguing about whether this should have happened and that should have been. Fantastic. Thank you. Because, that's what the entertainment industry is all about. It's about entertaining and making you talk, making you think, making you love, making you hate. So yeah, no, it's been really good. And no, I never thought I'd be doing this either, but I'm really glad that I did. So thanks, boys.
So we and I'm going to sneak. I mean, we've got a few more questions to go, but just a fan comment from me is that you know your character was fantastic, and you are brilliant as an actress, and you played the part so well. Like you made fans like fall in love with your character, and you really rooted for Max. You wanted the best for her. You wanted her just to find some nice guy to take her away. That's all she wanted, really. At the end of the day, was to be.
All she wanted was love.
Yeah, and so yeah, I thank you.
Thank you.
From myself. Ken,
this has been rather cathartic therapy for you, Lisa, and Matt and I will be sending you a bill a little later.
Only $100 an hour, no stress.
This is from Michael Spillman.
You can sign a fan card.
Michael Spillman says, can't wait, one of my favourite prisoner characters, brilliantly played by Lisa, a great actress. Horrible how they wrote the character out. Here's to you, Lisa, from Michael, from Yorkshire, and proud of it.
Proud of it. I saw your comment, Michael, from Yorkshire, and proud of it. A proud Yorkshire man. Thank you very, very much. Nice to meet you.
Max, this is awesome. Loved Maxie. She was so funny. You could be laughing 1 second, then you could be crying the next. Superb acting from Lisa. What was your favourite storyline with Maxine?
I think we touched on that. That was the Michelle child abuse thing. I think that was what I recalled. But I mean, there were so many others that but that one stood out for me. But I thought he was going to say, you know, you made us laugh and you made us cry, and that was just the bad acting. So
I should have left out the superb, shouldn't I? No.
This is from Mark Oakerby. I am over the moon to read this. I think questions have already been asked, so I will say thank you so much for my introduction to Prisoner, the cast of 82-83.
Yeah, and I mean, we were inundated with a lot of questions for you. I mean, there was over 200 comments on the announcement. So, yeah.
Oh.
I left a dramatic pause there. I have, which I didn't mean to leave. 82-83
that's why you're great behind the camera, Ken.
Yes, absolutely. Was my favourite era, and being a POM, I didn't see it till 1993-ish, and from then on, a following was born. Thank you.
Bless. Thank you.
Sorry, Ken. Is that it now?
Yeah.
Well, it's still a part of the pause, you know.
You know, I'm just waiting. Next one is Cole Taylor. Hi, Lisa. Big fan of your work in Sons and Daughters. Your character schemed with both Pat the Rats, Rowena Wallace, and Belinda Giblin. You had some great scenes with those two, and also Lyndall Rowe, who played Karen Fox. What are your memories of working with those? I mean, we touched on Sons for a little bit. So, I mean,
I was with Rowena. I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but I was, again, blown away to get the opportunity to film a few scenes with her. Yeah. And she was pretty tired, I think, by the time she was coming to the, when you're finishing a show. It's like when when you're about to go on a holiday in a normal job, you kind of just, you make yourself get to the end.
Yeah.
So that, but it's going to be huge. And I think for Rowena, she knew there'd been so much written about it. So I worked with her on her last day, and she was given flowers and whatnot. And we were sharing a dressing room, and she just said to me, and she was very gracious. She, again, kind, and she didn't have to be. And she gave me one of the bouquets of flowers that were given to her. And she said, I think you should have this, and welcome. And I hope you enjoy your stay. And I thought that was gracious, very gracious and lovely. And that stayed with me. And they're the memories that you keep of your icons, or the people that you have on pedestals. It's, you know, and I thought that was really, really lovely. She was patient. I think, you know, she was done. So, and she knew she was, you know, she was leaving. So, so that was, you know, good. And Belinda Giblin, class act, just lovely. Her and Sarah Kemp, you know, another great combination. And Lyndall Rowe, again, you know, I think she was maybe from South Australia, I'm not sure, but I hadn't worked with Lyndall before, and I didn't really know her, but all of the Cornelia Francis,
Yes.
you know, Cornelia Francis, Pat McDonald, you know, like, just again, and Willie Fennell.
Brian Blaine. Were you there when Brian was on?
Yeah, I think I was. But, you know, there were like just fabulous. Annie Jones, she came in because Carol Skinner played a housekeeper for Rod Beryl's love interest, and Annie Jones was his daughter, and Annie was gorgeous. She's just lovely. And
back on Neighbours as well. Everyone's back on Neighbours.
Yeah, yes, and then I remember Annie wrote an article that ended up helping me quite a few years ago now. Annie, I nursed her parents through dementia and Alzheimer's, and she wrote about it. And I ended up doing the same with my mum. So, you know, she went before me in terms of taking on that role as a daughter. And so, you know, again, the casts were brilliant.
Yeah.
The casts were brilliant. So, yeah.
And Rowena,
I
who's
talk a lot, don't I? I really talk a lot. I'm sorry.
Come on anytime. We love having you on. It's like we're having a chat. It's good. But Rowena Wallace is also coming on soon as well. So it'll be
great.
Really
great.
Yeah.
We'll give her a bouquet from you.
No, you'll send me the bill for it.
Ever since Ken's gone on a fan cut, he's all about the money now.
Yeah.
$5.
$5. Jeez.
Andy Dolman says, fantastic to hear from Lisa. Maxine was such a good character, and her untimely death is still sad to watch all these years later. We did cover the question about Spud and Lisa, but also he says, I really loved the scenes Lisa did with the Dempster family as the babysitter with Michelle. Uncovering the child abuse was a really powerful storyline.
Yes. Thank you. It was that comment. What was the name of that person that sent that through?
That was Andy Dolman.
Andy, I remember we spoke. Andy got a bit of a run last week, didn't he? Because I think we talked about Andy, Andy's question. And
Spud settling down together.
That's right. No, thank you, Andy. That prompted me to have a bit of a think. And yeah, I agree. It was a good storyline.
Yeah. And we also covered really the next one from Andrew Birch asking about riding a motorbike, but he also said he loved how well you portrayed your character with a range of emotions, especially when Maxie's dad passed away.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I saw that just recently because Jan, your famous producer that lives over in England, she suggested I have a bit of a look just to jog my memory. And I remember seeing the scene where Maxie's just sitting in the dark and, you know, doing all of that overacting. And yes. So, because I saw a scene where her dad paid her bail or something, and he said, I didn't do it for you, I did it for your mother. And I've got nothing to say to you or something. And that was pretty tough.
Yeah.
Pretty tough. Poor old Maxie.
Ken, you can have the next two, Ken, because they're really about both the same thing.
Desley Madge says Lisa had a great chemistry with Judy Bryant's character on screen. Was there an endearing friendship after your role finished with Betty Bobbitt? And also, just harking back to an earlier question, did you ever go to Betty Bobbitt's place for dinner?
Right. So no, not that I can recall, but I had lunch with Betty a couple of years ago. And it was fantastic. It was just lovely to see her again. She was very good friends with a good friend of mine. And we got together at her place, and yeah, I think there was a little bit of champagne drunk that I was only being polite. I didn't want to say no because I didn't want to be rude. Betty, gorgeous human, just a gorgeous human. She funny and dry wit, very insightful, could smell BS a mile away. I didn't know, again, you know, all these people were older than me and had lives of their own that were far more complex, raising children and, you know, doing all of that than what I was doing. So, no, I don't recall going to her place for dinner during Prisoner. I used to go to Val's for dinner. Val was a very generous host. And she'd have people over, and I was often invited.
Wow.
Which was lovely. So, and expected nothing in return. You know, it was just friendship. Just there, she put on wine, she put on a great meal, just very generous.
Last one, we are on the home stretch. You want it, Ken?
Oh, yes. Okay, I'll take it. This is from M. Fripp, who is a very good artist, actually, over in the UK. Yes, Maxine was such a favourite of mine. She was such a tragic figure, that balance of rebellion and vulnerability so perfectly played. I'd love to know how it was working with Betty. Well, we've just covered that. Honestly, Maxine had such great rapport with so many characters. I really cannot wait for this. I became a Stones fan because of Maxine. Is that Stones as in rolling or as in green ginger wine?
I've got a funny feeling that the latter is not what he's referring to. Funnily enough, you talk about the Stones. We had a director who's since passed, Kendall Flanagan. Do you remember Kendall, Ken?
Yes, I do.
Everyone speaks about Kendall here.
He says very quietly. Yes.
So Kendall Flanagan was a director, and he fancied himself as Mick Jagger. Seriously, he used to strut around doing "If You Start Me Up." I remember, look, honestly, he also fancied himself as a bit of a ladies' man, or Anyway, less said about that, the better. But anyway, he was totally into the Stones, and I was your Judy Garland, Liza Minnelli. I remember having dinner over at his place one night, and he's strutting around doing whatever Mick Jagger does, and I was going. And this is another reason why it was great that there was no social media back then, because like it just would have gone off. But yeah, so that was just a sidebar, but yeah, so the Stones, yeah, that were obviously a rock band for Maxie, but not for Lisa. I'm more your Eagles. I'm more your Eagles, Jackson Brown, Anywho, so was that a question? Did I answer it?
It was more of a comment too, because we covered
a lot of stoned. Stones.
You're not getting stoned, are you?
No, not me.
No.
Jackson Brown, actually, I love Jackson Brown. I mean, I was just listening to what was that big song of his, Stepping Out? Was it Stepping Out?
No.
Oh, hang on. Who am I thinking of? I'm thinking of someone else.
You're thinking of Joe Jackson.
Joe Jackson. Jackson. Too many Jacksons.
Seriously, Ken, what are you going to do to this young guy? Hey?
I can think of 5 Jacksons.
Yeah.
The Jackson 4. Excellent. No, that's it. We can, yeah.
I'm going to ask
We're going to stop the clock.
What?
Aren't you going to ask me if I've got any other comments?
That's what I'm about to do. Before I wrap up, is there anything you'd like to add, Ken?
I'm so tempted to say no, but I do have 2 things.
I want to pause for a minute.
This is one. When you were talking, Lisa, about the idea of having some months between a role and waiting for that to disappear, the problem later became modern technology, the DVDs. So now everybody has a collection of all of Prisoner, so they can quickly go back. I'll get my person to talk to your person as well.
Sorry about that.
So they can quickly go back and say, no, you didn't have a twin sister back then. You were an only child, blah, blah, blah. So now it's very easy to double check. Whereas back in those days, you forgot simply, was she, didn't she appear in 3 or 4 months ago as some other, but you can't really definitively nail it. But now you can, of course, because it's so easy. And the other thing about the older actresses appearing in a new series, and Matt mentioned the Golden Girls, I think a series for elderly ladies might be based on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, but who played Jack Nicholson's part?
Probably Sheila, if she was still around.
Oh yes, great, indeed.
It's been an absolute, I know we've had a bit of a laugh, but in all seriousness, it's been an absolute honor to have you come on and talk with us, and also for the fans. It's been amazing to learn about you, because there's nothing online about you, so now we know. So
thank you.
This is, by the way, this is Kia, my rescue. She rescued me and I rescued her. So, and she's been very patient, like your dog, Ken, for the last 2.5 hours, just been by my feet.
Now.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed about all the Prisoner cast and crew, they're all animal people. All got dogs and cats, yeah.
They're good people to have around, dogs. Yeah. Look, thank you both. As I said earlier, it's been a real pleasure doing it, and I've enjoyed it. I had a few giggles along the way, and yeah, thank you very, very much. And I wish you both all the very best with the rest of the podcast and all the other ventures that you've both got going on with your side hustles here and your side hustles there. Oh, and that fan card, I swear, they're
This,
going to go like hotcakes, Ken. That fan card with you up there, it's a sellout already. I can
Yes.
predict it. Don't spend it all at once, is what I would say to you. 5 months.
okay,
Thanks,
that was
everyone.
episode 48, part 2 of Talking Prisoner. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Talking Prisoner, and all our social media platforms, including Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and the rest of them. And also, please subscribe to, or wherever you get your podcasts from, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and also the talkingprisoner.com website.